Welcome. Let's do a quick recap of what we studied in chapter 2. First is acceptance testing. Acceptance testing is done by the intended targeted users for whom the software is developed. Alpha testing and beta testing are forms of acceptance testing. So alpha testing is generally carried out in the development premises. Beta testing is done in the actual environment. So these Windows Insider programs, etc., are standard examples of beta testing. So you deliver to a small set of users before, go for a wide audiences. So and change related testing is form of a confirmation testing. So in change related testing, you check whether the defect for which the fixes that you carried out are working as intended or not. And commercially off the shelf software is something which you procure from different vendor, not from your organization. Some other people would have developed it, and whenever you integrate COTS softwares, basically integration testing becomes utmost important. And component integration testing, you basically come up with stubs and skeletons, and you ensure that component is behaving the way it is supposed to. So the component interacts with stubs and skeletons to ensure the component is indeed functioning the way it is supposed to. Now component testing we have covered. Confirmation testing basically is a form of change related testing, and another one is regression testing. So in change related testing, we do confirmation testing and regression testing. And contractual acceptance testing, whenever the software is developed for a tailor-made requirement, for those intended end users do the contractual acceptance testing. Functional testing, as the name tells, in functional testing, whatever function the software is supposed to carry out, whether it is carrying out those functions or not, is tested as a part of functional testing. Impact analysis. So we spoke a special case, maintenance impact analysis. So whenever you are developing a feature for a particular requirement, you do impact analysis, how many modules or how big the impact is, and what kind of test cases you need to come up with to test that impact. Okay. Integration testing, whenever two components interact with each other, integration testing becomes important. In integration testing, you stress on interfaces. Make sure two or more components are together working the way they are intended. Maintenance testing, once the product is deployed to production and it is there in the production, any subsequent phase is maintenance phase. So for maintenance phase, that kind of testing involved is different, and we also discussed about the challenges that we face in maintenance testing. Non-functional testing, non-functional testing we have discussed, basically testing related to performance, security, portability, reliability, and usability. They've come under non-functional testing. So non-functional testing need not be towards the very end. It can be at multiple levels, multiple phases. And operational acceptance testing is something which is carried by operational team. So we discussed, right, what all kinds of testing they do, like backup, restore, install, uninstall, upgrade, okay, disk recovery, data load, and migration. Those kind of testings generally operational team carries out. And regression testing, most important, whenever you develop new feature, any of the existing functionality should not be broken. That is checked as a part of regression testing. Regulatory acceptance testing, mission critical software avionics softwares, fly this planes, etc. When they are developed, there will be mandatory regulatory acceptance testing. And sequential development model, we discussed about waterfall, right? That is a standard case of a sequential development model. System integration testing, like when you do basically it's a phase before system testing where you put all the actual components and test it. And test basis is like test basis is reference which you use for coming up with the test cases. So test basis could be like detailed design, okay, code, as in case of component testing, or it could be like system specification, system requirements, as in case of system testing. And then test case is a special case of testing where you come up with a test case to check particular functionality. Test environment, basically the environment in which the system is supposed to operate. It could be as simple as like shell variables, or it could be replication of like target platform. It could be making sure exactly basically exactly that environment is replicated as in case of a targeted environment. Test labels, we discussed about test labels, like component integration, system acceptance testing, they are test labels. Test object is like what all what you intend to test, okay. Test objective, what you intend to achieve, right? Test object is what you are testing, test objective is why you are testing, okay, what you want to achieve, okay. Testing types, we discussed testing types. Basically user acceptance testing is something done by the end user, and white box testing is code analysis, right? You check the code analysis for statement coverage, branch coverage, loop coverage, etc. And okay, yeah, that is pretty much it. So we covered essential things that we covered as a part of chapter 2.